Right, welcome to another week of the Redgate Code Club. I'm joined by my two very beautiful assistants, Ben and Stephen. If you have any questions, please place them into the chat. And one of my assistants will try their best to answer them. If you get stuck and you want us to look at your code, then you can click on this button up here and provide us a link. That way we can get it in Trinket, we can run it and help you out much easier that way. So a sound issue, or is it because literally no one was talking for a little bit?
We can hear you, so fingers crossed.
Okay, fingers crossed, right. Today we are doing modern art, and that requires a slightly different link to our usual one. So you'll need this Trinket link. I may as well start off also posting the instructions if you want to have those open somewhere else. We're going to be using the turtle again. Right, and shall begin. So we're going to draw random sort of art using some functions in Python. And we are going to set the color of our turtle. So we're going to, first of all, set it to be turtle shaped using that. So I believe that will draw us a black turtle. And then we're going to choose its color. And these are a value for red, a value for green, and a value for blue. So red and blue mixed together makes purple. These values are between 0 and 255. So I believe it will break if I pass something a little bigger. No, okay, it's just ignored it. So that's probably counted as 255.
Do you mind zooming in a little
Fair
bit?
enough.
Appears, just so we can see the text a little bit easier.
Absolutely. Is there a proper way to do that, or should I literally just zoom in? Okay. Oh dear, that looks terrible though. Maybe I can zoom out a bit more having done that.
Yeah.
Is that better?
That looks good, thanks.
Awesome. Okay. So if we're looking for other types of colors, you can add all sorts of things in here. So we could take the red out entirely, mix up some green, and I can't actually remember how they mix. We get a weird teal sort of color. But there we go. Now, what about a random color? I don't want to sit here typing all sorts of different colors. So we have to add, first of all, a new import. So we're going to type from random. So that's the package that we want to collect it from. And we're going to import star. So that's everything. And then in between shape and color, we're going to get our random 3 components of the color. So we're going to say that red is equal to a rand int. So that's short for random integer. And we're going to tell it between 0 and 255. And we will then do something very similar for green. Be a rand int between 0 and 255. I think because this is getting way too repetitive. Copy and paste. And we're going to have blue. There we go. We're not actually using these yet, so we're going to change that to use these. So that's going to be our green value, and it's blue there, so it's RGB. What color we got there? We got a weird pinky purple, and if I run it again, slightly brown. Run it again, brightish green. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to catch up. Though not with my timer, because that's broken. So there we go. And there we are. So we can fun colors. That's almost black. That's almost. I wonder if I can't remember how to get a bigger turtle. So there we go. I'm afraid it'll be a small turtle, big text. So this is a lot to do if we had a second turtle again and again. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring this line, which I'm going to cut by right-clicking down here. We can right-click again and paste it. And we're going to type something new above these 4 lines. So def is short for define. So we're going to define a function. We'll call it random color. We have some brackets, and we're not going to have any arguments, so we're going to leave them empty. And then a colon. You have to use a shift key to get one of those. And then we're going to highlight all of these and use the tab key to indent them. And that puts them inside the function. And that is hopefully nice and simple. Following instructions. So then after our shape, we can call our new function. So we just type its name and the brackets. It doesn't have any arguments like roundInt did, so we don't provide any. And if I run that, nothing should change apart from the chosen color. And there we go. We're still getting a random color every time I click this. But it should be a lot easier next time to get a second turtle. So there we go. And this reads better. Have a turtle in a random color. There we go. So our next task is to move the turtle. So we're going to define a new function. So you see we need to get rid of that dent there. Type def again. And then we're going to call this one random place. Open and close the brackets. We've got no arguments. And we're going to set, so this time it's going to be an X and Y. That's our locations. So we say that X is a rand int. So that's because Jake P, you are missing that after the shape call. So that's what uses these. So without that, you'll just get a turtle in the default color. So we've got randint minus 100 to 100. I believe that the middle is 0, 0, or I can't remember how the coordinate system in Turtle works.
Yeah,
I'm just going to copy that.
The center is 0, 0. And it's X.
Paste it, change it to Y. Excellent. And we'll call go to. That'll move our turtle. I'm going to go to X and Y. And then we need to call random place. Now if I hit run, it should go somewhere else. So you can see it's traveling in all sorts of places. And what we can do is we can use another function from Turtle called stamp. So just like the name suggests, it's going to place a sort of image of the turtle wherever we happen to be. We can copy our random color and random place. Paste it there. And if we run that, it should get 2 turtles. There we go. 1 and 2. But the turtle is leaving this line dotted all over the place. So we can fix that in random place. We can call pen up. That will stop it drawing the line. But I think it'll also stop stamp working. So we pen down once we've moved. And if I run that again, we should now move without all of that. So Jake, if you need more specific help, you may need to click on this button up the top, choose link. You see it will give you a link. Copy that, paste that in the chat, and then we can take a look at everything you've got. And so it's good that we only had to add this pen up, pen down once, even though we've got 2 turtles moving about. Nice hair, Stephen.
Can you tell that a certain
So,
individual next to
test
me
the
has
code a
decided to change my filters?
Yes. It's still not looking much like any art yet. So what's our next challenge? Random heading function. Make the turtle point in a random direction and make the following code work. For I in range. Okay, so let's implement that bit first. So we're going to put this in a loop. In and range. Remember, that's how we can repeat something. We want 30 of these. We're going to bring these 2 up. We're going to get rid of these. They were just duplicates. And call this new function random heading. So if I also define that, so def random heading, and like so, I won't implement it just yet, but I believe this will at least run. This will not run. Dear me. Is empty functions a bad thing in Python? Well, you can just pen down or something then. Yeah, okay, empty function's bad. So here we can see we're now putting 30 turtles, but they're all facing the same way. So the challenge is to use a call to set heading to do this. So I guess what I can do is put that up there for you. And your challenge is to replace this 1 with a random number between 1 and 360. So I'll give a couple of minutes to see if anyone gets there. And then we'll go through it on the screen.
Yeah, it looks like someone's having trouble running it locally on Python. So probably for this, it's probably best to run this on Trinket because it might be that Turtle doesn't work on desktop version.
Yeah, it's.
I remember there's one of the exercises we've done before where something didn't work.
Yeah, I think always stick with Trinket. I know it's not the best, but it does work. So shout in the chat if you have completed the challenge. It would give me a good indicator of where people are. I've got one request to go slower. So what we can do, we can provide a link of this spot. So if it's a lot of typing, then you can sort of jump ahead, I believe, with that link. And you'll get to where I am. One person has finished. I'm curious, have you finished what I've asked you to do or what the instructions ask you to do? Excellent. Okay, that's cool. So 2 minutes was vaguely reasonable. Oh, there are 15 of you. Oh, another one's done. Yep, well, your 2 minutes is up. So let's get my turtles to face a different way. So we've got rand in. We know about that. So we can put rand in here. And our values, just 1 and 360. That's degrees in a circle. Oh, got one extra there. So let's see if this works. Oh, it's spinning. Lovely. So gonna take a while. What's that, 6, 7, 8? I think now is the time to introduce our favorite little speed command, speed 0. And I'll put a new line there as well, just to separate that out. If I hit stop and hit run, it should now go a lot quicker. Excellent, they're all facing random directions, in random colors, in random places. So, our next task is that turtles are an unusual choice for art. I'm not sure of any famous artists who have used excessive quantities of turtles in their pictures. So we are going to clear the screen. Following code point scroll after your challenge code to clear the screen after your turtle art, point the turtle in its usual direction. Okay, so after all of this, we're going to type clear and set heading. I think this is a trinket sort of thing. So if we run that again, draw the turtle art, and then presumably the turtle art will disappear. Yes, okay. And we have ourselves our turtle facing to the right again. And we're going to add a function to draw a rectangle. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll add it up the top here with our other functions. So we'll put a couple of new lines in and we'll type def. And this is draw rectangle. And again, this is apparently a random rectangle, so we're not going to take any parameters. And the first thing we're going to do is get rid of our turtle. So we're going to call hide turtle. And there we go. So rectangles, they have two main properties for their size. That's length and height. So we're going to get a random length from randint. And we'll have a small minimum and a much bigger maximum. Perfect. And then we'll do the same for height. So randint, again between 10 and 100. Don't want it to disappear, etc. So we have to draw this with our turtle. So we have to first type a turtle specific command, which is begin fill. That's fill with an F, not a PH. And our turtle is going to travel forwards. First of all, it's going to travel forwards length. So that's presumably the top line across. Then we are going to turn right 90 degrees because rectangles are made of right angles. And we're going to go forward, which is now downwards, really. Height, that's the height of the rectangle. Then we will turn right again. So now we're going to go from the right-hand side to the left-hand side at the bottom. And that's the length again. So we'll type forward, length. And we're going to do one last right turn. It's not one last right turn at all. But we'll do the height again. So that's from the bottom left corner to the top left. And therefore it needs to be height. And then we're actually going to also do a right. So we're back facing the way we were before. And we need to end fill. Excellent. And if you don't fancy typing all of that out, something they could have told me in the instructions before I did it, is that it's all in this little tab up here called snippets.py. So you can select it and then copy it and paste it for yourself if you wish. In fact, you probably should, because I'm going to learn anything typing all the time. And then we are going to, after we've done our turtle art, cleared everything, we're going to draw a rectangle. with our new function. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to comment that out. So you put these asterisks. For me, that was Control and a slash on the keyboard, but you can just manually put the asterisks in. So we don't have to have the turtle. And there you see. But if I slow that down now, you can see the square going through. So we do the first edge, then we turn right, which takes some time in this mode. Then we go forwards for the height. So that's what it's chosen to do. Another 90 degrees, it'll do the left edge. And then the last turn right up to the top edge. And when it meets itself, because it chose fill, it does end fill, it'll fill that in, and we have ourselves a rectangle. And I'll put the speed back to 0 because that took forever. So we're going to draw some random rectangles. So let's copy our loop from before and paste that. In fact, let's get some more lines up here. So this is a bit more middle. Paste that here. Need to indent that, so that's the tab key. The instructions do only want 20 of those, so it's not going mad. And let's run that. Oh, what's going on? So it is sort of drawing rectangles. It's possibly finished now. Ah. I have missed a key part of what we should do. We are not moving or changing our color. So I'm going to copy those and add them in. I'll just delete that. Put that in. So there we go. That's better. I see a lot of requests to slow down. Is there anything in particular you'd prefer to go through again, or just time? So we can give a catch-up link. So I suppose it depends on your definition of art, whether this succeeds or not. Ben, Stephen, what do you reckon? Get this in a gallery?
I don't know, we've got some interesting stuff here. Print it out, stick on my wall behind me. See, Ben's being very quiet. I reckon he's got some really good masterpieces there that he's selling online already.
Yeah, priceless.
So there are some challenges to do some additional shapes. So we've got a rectangle here. In snippets, there is an option here for a star. And you can also do dots with the dot function. Using, yep, so you can do all sorts of different shapes. So if you're missing random colors in your rectangle, make sure you have a call to random color inside draw rectangle. So that comment we don't need anymore. So if we set random headings, we get to rotate our rectangles. People think that'll do. Huh, that's even better.
Olivia here has decided to uncomment out the
more.
clear so that we now have turtles and rectangles in ours.
Yeah, you can do. Get to all sorts. So there's a lot of code here. I wonder if maybe we should cut the font size of. It's never going to fit, is it? So that is very lovely looking. Though I think some of these are a bit big. So I might limit the size of mine. Don't want those massive squares. How does that look? There's an artist at work here, you see, tweaking things.
We've made ours go up to 400, so we've got really big blocks and it fills the whole page, which is quite interesting.
Crikey. So, I suppose something we can do is get on with some of these challenges. So, let's try circles. Let's add circles into the mix. So, we'll do def. We'll call this draw circle. Again, no arguments. And a colon. Perfect. So, we still want these to have a random color because that's more interesting. And a random place. But for hopefully obvious reasons, random heading won't affect our circles very much. And now we can draw, I believe, using the dot function. So if I draw 25 for now, add that to the loop at the bottom. And run. What do we get? Some dots, but they're all the same size. So I'll give a link to the code in this state. Let's see if people can get the circles random sizes. You'll need to edit this function here especially. Give 2 minutes for that. Excellent, Jake. Got your random circles working, have you? Could set these as desktop wallpapers. Trying to find some pattern in these pictures, but I don't see anything. Does it look like anything to either of you?
I'd like to say Olivia's tidy room, but
I mean,
look at tidy or
could be a
tidy?
dog. We've got the front leg and a back leg, a little bit of tail and a head, but that is stretching my imagination. Excellent. So our circles are all the same size. And we know we can use rounding to fix that. So we'll probably go for a slightly smaller minimum, I think, than the rectangles. And maybe not such a big maximum. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, actually the small minimum is very small. I was being very cautious. So let's correct that mistake and go for maybe 15. And let's make that 75. Get it a bit bigger. Make some biggish ones now. Somebody says that 150 is good. I'll assume you mean for the maximum. Let's give it a go. Yeah, they're coming out similar size to the rectangles. Cool. I think I'll leave it at that. So, next step is stars. Stars are cool, aren't they? So let's make a new function. Def draw star. And I think again, we'll take a random color. So it's just where we didn't have to type out what's in random color every time. And a random place sounds good. And to draw a star, we can go up to snippets and steal this code. So we're going to copy that, paste it in here. So I'm going to begin the fill. We can do 5 sides, turn left 144, and then go forward 50 and end the fill. So what do stars look like? So I draw a star in here. I'm going to have a lot of shapes now. Oh, so that's what a star looks like. So that must be 144 degrees. Right. Now the stars are all quite uniformly aligned. So let's try random heading as well. I think that the rectangles are causing some of them to turn, but let's make sure they spin in different directions. There we go, that one's different. They look shockingly similar. They look shockingly similar. Well, there we go. Random stars. So I think we can give it a link. If you want to catch up. Well, that's the end of the instructions, but it's not the end of our hour. So that's unfortunate. So I think as a a challenge, let's see if we can make these random as well. So whether it draws a rectangle, a circle, or a star, I'll give a couple minutes and then I will go through it. You may have to think back to some of the previous exercises on how this might be possible. So don't worry if you get stuck. I will, I think, get rid of the turtle. Goodbye, turtles. I think that means we no longer need to worry about clear or set heading. That should run the same. Yep. Delightful. Looks like a strange magnifying glass. I'm sure you could tell someone's fortunes from these pictures. Do shout in the chat if you have succeeded in randomizing which shape is drawn. So Jake says he's done it. Well done. I'm hoping that's Olivia that's achieved that, Stephen.
How did you guess? Olivia's commenting that looks like a magic wand over there you've drawn.
Yeah, that could be one of those sort of fairy wands with all sorts of spiky, sparkly things on the edge. So I think we're going to try and do this the simplest way possible. So first thing we'll do is take a random number, which we know how to do. Covered that today. And we have 3 choices. So I believe we'll take 2, and I believe we have to choose 4 because it won't do 4. It'll do 1, 2, or 3, and it doesn't do the last digit. And now what we can do is use something from a previous week and do if our choice, and we have to use 2 equals for that. So, oh dear. So that's a trinket link to the other bit if you need a hand. So if our choice is equal to 1, we will draw the rectangle. Have you not done if? We got not done if. I thought we did if last week. Okay, well, what if does, if is going to take what we call a condition. In this case, it's the variable choice, and the 2 equal signs does an equality check. So if choice is equal to 1, which it might be, it will do this code in the indent, but it won't draw the circle. That's not part of the if. And what we can do now is another if, and say if our choice is 2, which it could be, we'll do our circle. And if our choice is 3, we will draw the star. So if I run that, we should have 20 shapes in total. You see we've drawn 4 rectangles in a row there. And there we go. So our if is working quite nicely now. And that's quite handy. I can now increase the number of items without really blowing this up. So let's have 50 random objects. Lots of circles. Stars. That still looks like nothing. Maybe there's too many things to form a pattern. So what if I want a lot of rectangles and not so many stars or circles? If anyone can think of a good way to do that. I'll give you a link to this step. Paste that in. I think Tong has posted a trinket link. If I open that up, let's see what it's doing here. Yep, that's working wonderfully. I did notice your turtle was still hanging around for the very first shape. But that's okay. Maybe that's because it randomly chose something that wasn't a rectangle first. And Tong has asked, is it correct? Yep, looks correct to me. You haven't got the bias that I asked for yet, but I think you posted it just as I asked, so that's fine. Olivia would like to demonstrate hers. Let's have a look at this. So we've got lots of turtles first. And then some shapes. Whoa!
She wanted to see how high the shapes could go.
Well, you've lost all of your turtles.
But they're still there, just you can't see them.
Oh, you've almost got the whole screen. Almost got the whole screen.
I don't think you actually called them Ninja Turtles.
Ah, Ninja Turtles. Genius. So, if I want lots more rectangles than circles or stars, I'm going to need a bigger range of numbers. So, if we do 1 to 11, that's 10 numbers in total. And if, let's see, so we can change this to use less than. So if it is less than 5, we will draw a rectangle. And then we're going to introduce elif. Elif is else if. So if the previous condition wasn't true, we will try something else, and that's the else if. And then let's say we want circles 3 of the times. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So we know that we're greater than 5. So we've got possible values is greater than or equal to 5, 5, 6, or 7. So that's 3 choices available for circles. And we'll also turn that into an elif. And actually, we don't care anymore. We will do else. And else doesn't take a condition, but if neither of these two have worked, the number was 9 or 10, we'll draw a star. So how does that work out for us? So I don't appear to have had a great bias towards rectangles yet, but that's how random numbers work. Maybe 50 of them was excessive again. So let's change this again. Let's try 7 and 9. So I should have the vast majority of these be rectangles. There we go, that's looking more like it's working. Someone has asked about triangles. You can certainly draw triangles. We'll have a crack at that next. I don't see why not. So that's my biasing working. Let's draw a triangle then. let's give that a go. So how do we draw a triangle? Well, we type def draw triangle. And those. We're going to have our triangle in random places. And in fact, I'm going to copy the whole of draw star. So a star is a many-sided shape. And in fact, what it's doing is it's doing a strange thing. But for a triangle, it's 3 sides. And that means our 360 needs to be 120 rotated. That'll add up to the whole thing. We should get back to where we began. And then end fill. And I hope this works. It'll be embarrassing if it doesn't. So let's put stars in. Triangles. Let's just replace our rectangles with them, because we have the most of those. And hit run. There we go. There's a triangle. So as long as your degrees add up to 360, you'll, if you do the same distance every time, you'll get back to where you started. Which means we can do all sorts of shapes. If you want pentagons and octagons.
Olivia was half hoping you'd draw a 4-sided triangle. Not quite sure what one of them looks like in the wild, though.
A 4-sided triangle?
Yeah, it'd be very interesting, wouldn't it?
I think it looks a lot like a rectangle. So, triangle and star are looking ridiculously similar. So if I do a pentagon, actually star is like a weird flipped pentagon. So pentagons are 5-sided. So let's copy triangle. Copy that. And we want 5 of these sides. And then we need to divide 360 by 5, which is a number I didn't think about changing. It's 672. And again, we'll go for that. I hope this works. Oh well. So we will draw a pentagon. Yes, that does work. That's nice. So we have all sorts of shapes now. What about many-sided shapes, though? Triangle and pentagon are very similar, and the whole point of functions was to avoid copying all the code again, which I had to do to make those two. So I can give you this point, and what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little different. So we'll still type def, and we're going to call this one draw shape, and we're going to take a parameter. I've gone very off piece from the instructions now. We'll call this sides. And we're going to do much the same what we had before, which I have over copied. So I'll copy again. Copy that and paste. Now instead of this being a fixed number, it will come from here. And instead of this being a fixed number, we will work it out. So here it was 360 divided by 5. Here it was 360 divided by 3. So we can actually just work it out, and we have ourselves draw shape. So if we get rid of draw pentagon, and for our number of sides, let's take a random number of sides between, now we can't do less than 3. Okay, 2 sides won't work very well. You'll get a line. Probably a very bad line. And maybe if we go too high, it'll just look like a circle. So let's try up to 8. So we'll put 9 in there.
You might change that to draw
that
shape.
Ah, thank you. So that was a pentagon. Wow, that was a big thing. We've got hexagons. Is it no, a nonagon is 9, isn't it? Septagon for 7?
Olivia's asking, can you draw a hentagon, which apparently it's a hen shape.
A hen?
Yeah, don't ask me.
I'm pretty sure that's not a real shape. Now, we've certainly made some more interesting art. Heptagon is 7. Hexagon is 6, yes. What about this parameter? This is a bit fixed. They're all the same size. So why don't we fix that? Let's take the edge instead and replace that 50 with our value. And now we can take a new round int. Let's set a minimum of 10 to 75. Let's say, and I have made a mistype. So hopefully now our odd shapes will be a variety of sizes. And that's just obliterated half the screen, that one. But there we go. And what we'll find is that we no longer need pentagon or triangle. So I can delete those. They are not required. Rectangle is square, isn't? This new code will draw a square quite happily. Can I draw a 10-sided shape? Of course I can.
I reckon you should go a bit higher, go 15.
Just to make draw a shape. Let's go for, well, the public asked for 10. So let's run that and draw a 10-sided at the end. So that's this last one. It's gone slightly odd actually, and I suspect I know why, and that's because actually 10 should go really nicely. 36 degrees. Well, it's gone slightly odd. That might be something underneath it. That's what a 10-sided shape looks like. And what you'll find is the more sides you put in, the more like a circle it looks. Only it'll take a lot longer to draw. So if I put 100 of those in, and just very quickly get rid of that, and run just the 100 circuits shape, it's gone wildly off screen. But there it is, and it's an awful look like a circle. Only it's very large. Probably because its edge is 30. Probably only want to be about 2. So you can see now what a circle looks like. That's 100-sided, whatever that would be called in Greek. Is it Greek? Oh, that's what the weird little thing was. It was the arrow. Okay. Yes, 15. You did ask for 15. And I guess we can bump up the size a bit to keep that reasonable. It's almost round still. Make it bigger, it'll look less round. Like a gear. Hexagon.
I've had to safely Google that. I did not know off the top of my head.
You have to be careful pronouncing that, don't you? Hexagon and hectagon. What's a dodecahedron? Is that one for? No, it's a hedron. That's 3D. We're not doing that today.
Right,
I think
I
that's
kept
the
seeing
end
that
of
name and I
today's
couldn't
lesson.
think what it was.
Dodecahedron. Is it 120 or is it something else? So I won't paste that bit of code. That bit's far more interesting. So the most recent link we've had is much better. So that's that one. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, my assistants. Apologize for being a bit fast at the beginning. I'll end the recording.